my good friend Andell. We've been friends for a long time, and we always talk about old school basketball. And I make a lot of videos by myself explaining what I know based on research when it comes to MJ's greatness. But Andell's someone who lived through it. You know, he lived through especially the second half of Jordan's career, and he can actually speak on this. I mean, the guy knows what he's talking about. So all you LeBron apologists, listen up, because my buddy here knows exactly what he's talking about. So, Andell, what's your first memory of Jordan? What's the first time you actually started watching him? Can you remember that?
I mean, really, you know, we started watching. I started watching it really like, you know, when he used to play against the bad boy Pistons. Can't really give you the definite year and all that, but yeah, when he played against the Pistons was really when I started to watch him, and when of course him and Larry, and you know, from the beginning. And but the most when I paid attention to it, like the most was Magic. You know, those two. You know, because I'm a Lakers fan at heart, but you know, when MJ came, man, he changed the game. You know, different style of basketball. I guess you could say he played from more neighborhood basketball. It made more, you know, it made sense to those type of guys. You know, real basketball players.
You know, he was mean to his teammates, right?
What's that?
You know, he was mean to his teammates. That disqualifies him from being the GOAT, right?
Well, you already know, like, this whole, you know, MJ, I mean, as a matter of fact, Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. was having a debate about this today. I really didn't get a chance to see the whole clip from that, but there, you know, Shannon Sharp again goes in, and he's just trying to make the case like LeBron is better than MJ, and it's like it still can't beat the guy. You know, it's just crazy. And, you know, they were having an argument about, you know, LeBron's been playing for 22 seasons. It was like 7 years more than MJ, and he's just now breaking the record. So, if you just want to go there, if MJ was playing as long as he did, starting from there, he would have. LeBron would still be trying to catch MJ. You know?
Yeah, well, that's the only argument that these people have. They don't have a factual argument that makes LeBron look better than Jordan. They always got to go to either, well, he has the all-time most points, or that he's a nice guy. Okay, well, I'm sorry, being a nice guy, it doesn't win you championships.
Well, you know, absolutely.
So that's one thing I'd love to debunk. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, you know, you're right. This is absolutely, like, just crazy.
Yeah, I just, that's one subject I wanted to talk about in this episode or video, but mainly this, okay, really two things. Number one, a lot of these uneducated Luka Doncic-loving Lakers fans, you know, they don't know their history whatsoever. And they had the audacity to say, and I see some older people saying this too, that Jordan's competition was weak. Are you kidding me? It's one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard.
It's crazy, man. They don't watch basketball, man. They only know one type of basketball. That's the only way I can see. You know, the film is not in 4K video, so you know, I guess they're not interested in watching it. But the tape is there. You can literally go back and watch MJ dominate his whole era. His whole era.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the teams that this guy faced in the finals and in the playoffs and in the regular season. Every single one of those teams would destroy any NBA team today.
look, I mean, he played against with the top 50 best players in the world and beat them all.
Yes.
Beat them all.
You can go down the list. I mean, we'll start with this. And you said you started watching basically in the late 80s with the Pistons rivalry. I mean, can you imagine Bill Laimbeer and John Mahorn or Rick Mahorn and Dennis Rodman? Can you imagine them going up against today's Lakers?
Yeah. And then, I guess the only thing you can really separate from is the physicality of the game, which
right.
is more in favor of the guys now. But truthfully, back, that you gotta think about that. MJ had to face, physicality, man. That's where the moves came from. You had to dodge punches, elbows, So that makes him a more physical type of player, man. And if MJ was playing now, I mean, come on. If he was putting up 38, 40 a game, man, he can do 45, 50 a game if he wanted.
Yeah, because the league would allow for that type of play now. But think about it. You go back to the late 80s, right, where you couldn't do anything in the paint without getting hurt. Okay, with a capital H. When Jordan lost, the first year he lost to the Pistons, he didn't whine and complain. He didn't try to get traded to another team. He didn't try to recruit anybody like a certain guy in L.A. No, he said, I'm going to hit the gym and bulk up a little bit and get stronger so these guys can't push me around.
Yeah.
That's the attitude of a winner.
I mean, these people just have to face it, man. They keep trying to compare it to the greatness of MJ. We get it. He's on Mount Rushmore. He is the best player I've ever seen. Ever. You know what I mean? So, you just gotta accept it. You know what I mean? Until he does it in the way Michael Jordan does it, it doesn't count. It doesn't count. And you don't have the championships to match. And just to seal it, Kobe Bryant, you watch Kobe Bryant lock LeBron James down. If Kobe's MJ's imitation, there's no way you're gonna beat MJ, man. There's no way. It's crazy.
I just find it quite odd that these people just can't accept reality. I mean, again, it's an emotional argument. Well, look at all the charity LeBron does. Look at everything he focuses on. He's never mean to his teammates. Can't you give him that? Well, hey, good for him. He's not mean to his teammates. But how many times has he lost in the finals again?
That's all we care about, yeah. That's all real ball players care about.
I mean, there's a big difference between being a nice guy and being a competitive killer who's not going to put up with any crap from his teammates.
Yeah.
That's who Jordan was. If you weren't going to put out, if you weren't going to step up and do your job as a teammate, well, get out of my way then. And that's why Jordan was successful. So after that 80s season against the Pistons, everybody knows that famous rivalry, the Bad Boys. But going into the early 90s, which I think was Jordan's prime, the early 90s, those teams, the Suns and the Lakers and the Trailblazers. Okay, let's take a look at those three teams.
Yeah.
Some people would say the early 90s Lakers, the 91 Lakers, were not the same as the 80s. Well, we know that. But still, like we mentioned earlier, what do you think those Lakers, those 91 Lakers, how do you think they would perform today?
I mean, you couldn't even think about it. There's guys who's not as good as Rick Fox.
Yes.
Rick Fox, you look at Rick Fox back in the day, you be like, this dude, he's not good. He's trash. You think Rick Fox is not trash, man. Rick Fox is like the garbage man. He gets all the rebounds and gets the easy buckets. And these are things that, that's why I say if you're a hooper, a baller, you kind of understand a little more about what made guys hard to deal with. Especially like back then with defense, a lot of really good defensive guys. You know what I mean? So that's why MJ has won, don't even know. If that, but he doesn't play defense. I mean, that you can't be an all-around player and call yourself the GOAT. You don't play defense.
Yeah, I mean, you had
game, man.
Yeah, it's the culture is just different, and I don't think it's going in the right direction. But you had Magic Johnson, obviously, who was the leader of that team. You had Sam Perkins, guys like that, and who was the center? They had a squad. I can't remember who the center was.
Yeah. You say Sam Perkins?
Yeah, I said Sam Perkins because he was a good defender, and I know a lot of, what would you call it? I know a lot of, I could go through all the stats if I wanted to, but that's not really the purpose of this video. I wanted to really just make a point on who Jordan was actually facing, and that Lakers team, even though they were not prime 80s Lakers, was a competitive team. Every single one of Jordan's teams that he faced were competitive. Okay, so let's move on to the Trailblazers the next year. Everybody was saying that year, I know you remember, at that time, everybody was saying, "Oh, Clyde Drexler is the next Michael, or he can match up to Michael."
Yes.
And a guy like MJ, I'll say this and I'll turn it over to you. A guy like MJ was like, "Oh, really? You think he's better than me? Well, I'll show you who's the GOAT." And that type of mentality, man, is what is extinct today. Go ahead.
It's honestly it's very close to the documentary they just had on Mike last week here. Where he said, it's our Clyde was good. Clyde Drexler was like the second guy. You know what I mean? To like actually seem like he's flying in the air and dunking on guys. You know what I mean? He was pretty good. Now Clyde was better than what people say they was. It's just Jordan overshadowed Black Jesus. Black Jesus walks through the building, and this is what they call this guy, man. Playing against Jordan on that stage, everybody knew he was like, Clyde Drexler got some buckets, but it's like, come the third quarter, MJ's gonna take over. It's take over time. And in the fourth quarter, it just seals the deal. It happens every time. Can't say I haven't seen it. Clyde is a one-man gig, but at the end of it, he couldn't put up the buckets that MJ could do. He just couldn't do it. Got to seal the deal.
Yeah, I mean, again, folks, you're listening to Andell's a guy who saw all this stuff as it happened. I watched Kobe in his prime and LeBron when he first came up, but I wasn't around for Jordan's first run. And what you're hearing is a guy who not only watched it live, but reacted to the cultural shift that was happening at the time with Jordan doing all of these amazing achievements. I mean, even in the 90s, people were like, there's nobody like this guy. And again, that Trailblazers team, dominate at least 90% of teams today, the Trailblazers will win easily. That 92 Trailblazers team. And then the next year, you had that Suns team with Charles Barkley, Dan Marley, and Danny Ainge. Those guys are so underrated.
Underrated.
And some people say one of the big excuses. I will say this here. Here's another ridiculous statement from the geniuses of modern day fans. Some of them will say, "Well, John Paxson hit that winning three, in Game 6." Well, guess what, genius? How do you think they got to Game 6?
Right. Wouldn't be at a Game 6 if it wasn't MJ. I mean, it's clear. I mean, it's the clearest vision ever. It's like the dude left for 2 years. almost, retired for a little while, came back, and kept winning championships.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
He took a year off. I mean, so many guys. Charles Barkley thought that was his year. I mean, he's done a lot of interviews talking about that. He thought he was better than Michael, and he's going to win. And Michael said, "No, you're not going to win. I'm going to shatter your dreams." And like you said, yeah, he did take a vacation off the next year, but I don't think it was a vacation. I mean, this guy trained for another sport. At least in my opinion, he trained for another sport. And what was your reaction at that time? Do you remember how you felt about him leaving in '93?
Oh man, it was like bittersweet because it was like, oh man, MJ, because Michael Jordan was the lead. He was the lead, and it was a feeling. I know for me, like basketball wouldn't be the same. Like who you gonna watch now? You know what I mean? That's gonna dominate. Turn the gas on when it's time and dominate and win, man. It was a winner, man. Everybody wants to watch a winner, man. And so at that time, man, that was it was bittersweet. You know what I mean? Because you watch him playing baseball, it's like, hey, dude, you need to get back on the court. But when we found out he was coming back, oh man, it was the NBA was back. Plus, the fact that he came back and won a championship. I mean, that's hype right there. You know what I mean? That's real hype, not made up hype.
Yeah, when he came back, again, he was a little rusty against that Pacers team, which that's the next team we can talk about. Going into the late '90s, when you really started remembering him, because we've had these conversations for years now. I remember you telling me how those late '90s Bulls teams you remember more because you were older, obviously.
Yeah.
But the first team you went up against in that first playoff run was the Magic, and this is another sore spot that Jordan haters, so to speak, or reality deniers, as I like to call them. They love to point to this little spot in his career. It's like, well, see, the Magic beat him. He got it stolen in that game. Penny Hardaway's better than him. No, he ain't. All right. Let's debunk this too while we're at it, okay? Jordan messed up. Yeah, somebody stole the ball from him. But why don't you think about the context behind that game? Like, think about the domination this dude was putting on Shaq, a young Shaq, before that happened. Okay, that was Michael's own fault that he dropped the ball. Literally, he wasn't paying attention. He got it stolen, and they beat him by the skin of their teeth. I'm willing to admit that, but let's just acknowledge the reality here. So that Magic team, which again had Shaq, Penny Hardaway, a dominant team that was physical, like most teams in the '90s. They would crush a lot of teams today. That's what we keep going back to, folks. I mean, all these teams Jordan faced, the supposed weak competition, they would crush any team today, including the Lakers.
Right now, I don't even know a team that's that solid that can come out and beat some of these teams. Because see, back in the day, you had a good bench. When it was to the point where if you get like a Sean Kemp, who if he retires, there's a dude just sitting there waiting to come in that's been sitting on the bench for years that's gonna play for them. Guys didn't get traded.
Yeah.
Like, you stand on the bench and learn how to play, and when you got your chance, you was really just as good, or even a little better sometimes than some of the guys that came out. That's why I don't think people understand. The no-name dudes who could really play ball. They could really play ball. They just got overshadowed by the stars, just like it is now.
They had role players.
Very good role players. Very good role players.
I saw an interesting article about viewership, and that's another subject, but the viewership, of course, is dropping. I wonder why. People are tired of seeing all these super teams dominating the league, and there's no competition anymore. And then you got all this flopping, which, the Patriots 2.0, Patrick Mahomes has adopted, and Travis Kelce. We saw that whenever they faced the Bills a few weeks ago. But people are tired of it, man. I think the consensus is that people do not like the modern day style of basketball, and that's why the viewership is dropping. The viewership for any 90s Bulls game, especially the late 90s, was astronomical. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I looked it up a few days ago, and it was some crazy number. Just look it up for yourselves, folks, and you'll understand what I'm saying. All right, moving on to the 97 season, 96. We get into that Supersonics team he faced in the finals.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, that's a whole. We're getting into a whole different era now, people.
Oh yeah.
We go from a competitive Pacers team that was coached by Larry Bird, and the dominant physical Magic team. Now we're getting into two teams, the Utah Jazz and the Supersonics, Seattle Supersonics. Two teams that do not give a crap about how you feel. They were going to beat the ever-living crap out of you if you try to do a layup.
Yeah.
So what were your memories, Andell, of that Supersonics team in '96?
Actually, we'll remember the game actually when they played, which was Gary Payton. See, Gary Payton, man. See, the glove, they don't call him the glove for no reason, man. That dude will rip anybody. He'll rip MJ.
Yeah.
That's how good he was. Dude will rip you. He'll take that rock away from you, man. And the rest of that squad, man, it he would dish it out to these dudes. He was such a good point guard. He was like the Rondo. He was like Rajon Rondo, just a little bit bigger and a little bit, put some D on him. That dude can play some D.
Oh, wait, did you say defense? I don't even know what that is.
I mean, nowadays it's like you can't play defense. So you don't really know who really can play defense or not, because all these, wet rag soggy plays, calls, it's like you literally got your hands up. The guy's bumping you with his shoulder, and as soon as he hit you hard enough where it looks like it's some contact, you blow a whistle. I mean, it's foolishness, man. This is straight foolishness.
I mean, you had so many eyes on the NBA at that time because people were just so in awe of how much Michael Jordan wanted to win. And that's why he's inspiring. I mean, he didn't care what was in his way. You think he cared what teammates he had? Scottie Pippen went on that podcast. We talked about that Patrick Bet David podcast that Scottie went on a few weeks ago, and I'm sorry, I don't take this personally. Okay, all you Scottie Pippen fans, I don't know what the guy's going through in his personal life, but he just looked like a guy who wanted attention on that interview.
Yeah.
He kept acting like Michael Jordan was just this bad guy. He really traumatized me when we played together. I'm like, dude, man up. What are you doing as a grown man who won 6 championships, by the way, with Michael? What are you doing as a grown dude on here complaining and acting like you're the victim because Michael Jordan said something bad to you while you guys were playing and winning, by the way?
Too emotional, man. I mean, hey, man, move on, man. I understand. You won with it, You won with the guy. They called you guys Batman and Robin. Even though, I guess you wouldn't want to be called Robin, but that's what it was. Jordan can win with anybody. approval. Scotty was the dude, but if they could have replaced Scotty with another A-list player, you think MJ wouldn't have won? And if MJ had half of the guys, I'm probably switching it up a little bit. But if MJ played with half of the guys that LeBron James has played with, or, some of these guys in the league have played with, KD, he would have way more championships.
Yeah, I just don't like that attitude. The saying or the expression, whatever, nice guys finish last. I think that really applies to the modern day Lakers. Okay, you can be a nice guy all you want. You can be PR all you want. You can be good for the media all you want. But guess what? If you're not going out there and being a dominant leader to your team and winning, people don't care how nice you are. It's just a fact of professional sports.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I'm sorry, I wanted to get that off my chest because Scottie Pippen has been annoying me lately.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. Scotty's been a little bit all over the place. Sometimes he'll say good things about Michael Jordan, and then sometimes he'll say bad things. So I agree with you. It sounds like it's the tension he's seeking.
Yeah, you had guys like Horace Grant and other former teammates of Jordan who say the same thing. They say Jordan would break him down, mentally. But they always end the statement by saying the dude was a winner and I was glad to play with him. But Scotty doesn't do that for something. But
makes sense.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Well, maybe we'll find out one day. Well, after the Sonics team, we get to arguably one of the most memorable teams that Jordan faced, which was the Jazz. 2 years in a row. We haven't seen that. We rarely see that these days, where we see two competitive teams face each other in the championship game twice in 2 years, or twice in a row. And, I was watching some footage because, this podcast, folks, is all about watching the old footage so you know your history so you don't sound ignorant. Going back and watching these games before I talk with you today, Andell, it really struck me how good Karl Malone was before that 97 finals. And he was the MVP. He did so many things that would blow away any player today, most players today, in terms of his skill level, his physicality, his post-up game, all of these different things. I don't even know if they have a post-up game anymore in the modern league, but all these different things really impressed me before he went up against Jordan. But what are your memories of that 1997 finals?
Man, that was tougher, to be honest with you. Being a MJ fan, I felt like that was probably one of the ones he wouldn't win, to be honest with you. As much as he was a winner, that was a tough squad because John Stockton, man, that dude, man, he's like a little motor, man. He never stops. He never stops moving. But, and then Karl Malone is like the muscle down there. Really didn't have anybody who could muscle Karl Malone, that much. So, you had to pick your poison on that one. You definitely wasn't stopping those two guys.
I mean, I've heard some people say, give an argument, those guys were on steroids. Karl Malone was taking steroids. Listen, everybody at that time, who wasn't taking steroids in the 80s and 90s? It was legal at one point. Okay, that's not the point of this analysis we're doing. If Karl Malone took steroids at some point in his career, that doesn't stop a guy from Michael Jordan having the mindset of saying, well, I don't care what this guy is on, I'm going to beat him.
Nah, You got to look at that as being a great, very great, because you could be on any kind of Superman steroids that'll make you 1,000 times better, and you still couldn't beat the guy twice.
So that's some good. That's a good point you made, man, on that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that too. I mean, the dude is literally, if they was on steroids or drugs, and he was on, and Michael Jordan was just on greatness, and he still beat you. I mean, it's just crazy, man. They try to, these guys just discredit MJ. As soon as LeBron or somebody breaks a record close to it, it's like, come on, guys. Come on, guys. This is.
They don't look at the facts. They only look at emotion and how many points LeBron has. You know, the statistics of what has LeBron done in almost 25 years of playing. I'll never understand that argument.
You know, it's sad to the point where it's like you really don't want to talk about LeBron in the conversation, but you have to if you're talking about MJ, because that's the only person they compare him to. You know, because you know that's the great LeBron James played for 20-something seasons. It's, you know, this is a good ball player. I'm not discrediting it at all. He good ball player. But if I would say on a team, if I'm picking somebody, I'm picking the guy who didn't lose ever.
Yeah, you're picking the guy who will actually say, "Hey, man, we're going to go out here and win. Just get on my back. We're winning."
Yep. When I dish you the ball, you need to score. Pressure. Real pressure.
And that's what he did that year with Steve Kerr. By the way, you know, that's Michael being nice. He was nice enough to let Steve Kerr take that last shot. I know he hated that. I know Jordan hated giving that ball up because the dude wants, you know, people to get out of his way so he can win.
Yeah.
And that should inspire people. The fact that this generation is not inspired by somebody's attitude of wanting to win like that just goes to show how they haven't watched any of Jordan's games. They haven't gone to YouTube and simply looked up highlights. They just listen to talking heads, like I've said in many other videos. They listen to Colin Cowherd, listen to, you know, like you said, Shannon Sharp, or sometimes Stephen A. even.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be on our team. But, you know, I listen to guys like that who are there to put out a narrative about LeBron. That's their job. You know, they want to make him look good so that we put him above Jordan. Isn't LeBron a great guy? It always goes back to that. But anyway, we're getting off topic. With that Jazz team, with that Jazz team of 97, those guys lost. Okay, and you remember that famous quote from Scottie Pippen, ironically. He's like, the mailman doesn't deliver on Sundays, you know.
Right.
Because Carl
messing up. Yeah. No, man, that whole series was a tough series. Still, it was entertaining. It was tough. But you know, that was the one people thought, well, maybe MJ would lose. But after the first time, I mean, you know, the second time, of course, it was tough, but we had more confidence in him at that point. We knew he could do it again, so, and he did. You know, but yeah, that game was a tough game with those guys. It was hard. You know, it was hard to stop Karl Malone, man, down in the paint. You know, dudes had to be big like that. You had to be big like that in the paint. You got to take advantage of it. You playing against Shaq? Come on, man.
Can you imagine somebody like Karl Malone going up against Luka Doncic in the paint, man?
Man, come on.
You can't even fathom it because it would be stupid. It would be a ridiculous matchup for somebody as physical and as competitive as Karl Malone. He would take one look at Luka and just blow him away. You know, he would knock him down easily. and get an easy layup or dunk. And I don't even have anything against Luka Doncic. I think he's a great player, but he's another guy who's fallen victim, in my opinion, of the soft mindset.
Yeah.
And both of us are not a fan of that, folks.
Yeah. It's a whole different type of league now, man. It's just the rules, man. They really screwed up and changed the rules for points. Change the game for viewership, and it's terrible, man. It's tearing to the point where you got people questioning Michael Jordan's greatness, and the guys that he beat, were they great as well? It's crazy. It's like y'all delusional, man. You show me a guy right now who can win 6 championships straight. You come to we may be talking something different, and does it in a fashion where he's the single dominating factor in winning. Yeah, and he come see me, man. But LeBron can go get Luka. I mean, the dude's play with every single star in the league. The two people he can't play with, he wants to, is Steph Curry and KD.
We're going to talk about Jordan's final championship win, and I know that's one of your biggest memories. You've spoken to me about that many times.
Yeah.
But before I do that, let me just talk about a few key points here. Number one, what Larry Bird says about Jordan, okay? I've seen a lot of these guys try to put Larry Bird above Jordan. And with all due respect, I love Larry Bird. I think he's another great player I love watching, and I respect the heck out of him. Larry Bird would lose against prime Michael Jordan. I think everybody in their bunker knows that. Okay?
Yes.
Go listen to the interviews of him talking about how Jordan was like God out there in the 80s, that 1986 playoff game where Jordan lost. He was a young player, but he dominated those guys in the 80s, man. You're talking about the 80s Celtics. Jordan scored 63 points on them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one thing I want people to understand. The second thing is the overall defensive mindset of players back then was, I'm going to hurt you if you go into the paint. Okay?
Yeah.
If you take one step into that area, I have to hurt you because I'm a role player. That's my job. I mean, the hack-a-shack like we talked about.
Right.
And some of these same people, one final thing I want to talk about before we get into the final Jordan championship, is I hear a lot of people say, well, the competition regarding Jordan's competition, his competition wasn't in shape most of the time.
How would you know?
What?
How would you know this?
I've heard that even on some talk shows. These geniuses on the talk shows will say, well, Jordan's competition, you think about it, the workout regimens, they were a little different back then, and they weren't in shape. You know what's ironic about that, man? These guys who are saying this look like the Michelin Man. Remember the Michelin Man commercial?
Yes.
These guys who are saying this stuff, they look like the Michelin Man. I mean, who are you to talk about Jordan's competition being in shape, man?
Yeah, okay. Back in the day, it was more rules that the coach had over the team. It was no buddies. You come in, it's work time. You still got a few coaches out there that way. When they get in practice, they run the heck out their guys. They play a lot of basketball. They work them, but that's how it was. Nowadays, it's like, Jamba Juice and little music, a little weightlifting, and everybody go home. I don't know. You know what I mean?
No, man, you got to make sure you put your mouthpiece hanging out of your mouth a little bit, and you got to make sure you listen to some sort of Gen Z dance where you kind of those awkward dances they do now. That's your workout.
That's funny, man. But no, just being real. But yeah, that's just a crazy thing to say about that. To use that as a factor of somebody's gameplay, you know.
Yeah, it just goes to show they don't know what they're talking about. But after that memorable flu game that everyone remembers, that famous flu game where he literally played with 103-degree fever or something, and he went out there and dominated like he was, in his prime. After that performance in the '97 finals, you had probably one of the greatest memories and moments of Jordan's career. A perfect send-off where the guy, after 5 or 6 competitive games, he takes the final shot and he wins the whole thing for a 6th time. I mean, it's incredible, man.
Yeah.
What is your memory of that? Because I know you told me you watched that live and you were going crazy. What's your memory of that?
I mean, just as a young fan, man, it was really, really like, it's almost unbelievable, man. You said you had the little doubts, like I said, he was like, nah, he ain't gonna win this, man. It's impossible for somebody to come out of retirement and win 3 straight and do it again on this last one, man. And that guy, man, proves that he's wrong every time, man. That dude can shoot.
I'm sure your fans. You got some fans back there. I can hear.
Yes, I see. Yes, have a few passing by.
No, I that's great, man. I think a lot of people point to that, and you got the detractors who say, "Well, Jordan pushed off of Brian Russell." They always come up with that excuse. Well, let me keep it real with you folks, because that's what we do, okay? Andell does it. I'm going to keep it real, keep it 100, as they say. That's the logo of my podcast. He didn't push him off, all right? He did something called a step back. Do you know what a step back is? It's where he was in motion. If you go back and watch the whole play, not just that moment, Jordan was on the left side of the court, and he was driving towards the top of the key, and he suddenly stopped, and he stepped back. Now, Brian Russell kept going because his momentum, he was in hand-checking mode, and his momentum kept him going. And Jordan's hand happened to be in that area where Brian Russell's hip was. He didn't push him off. Brian Russell's momentum pushed him, and he slipped. Okay, that's just Michael Jordan being a skilled player by stopping and pulling up or doing a step back.
Yeah.
So I wanted to debunk that ridiculous statement once and for all. I mean, these people are just reaching for anything to make Jordan look bad.
He pushed the guy. He pushed him. I mean, it's like, come on, man. That's that weak mentality. He didn't push the guy. If you're not strong enough to keep your balance when I go that way, I put my hand on you, because clearly back then I can put my forearm on you. So hey, you have to be ready for everything. That's what makes the old school players a stronger player, man. To me, what I mean. All these kids can shoot threes out here. All the kids are tall. All the guys are tall. All of them shoot threes. All of them can dribble well. It's like boring basketball. Certain guys had certain things about them back in the day. Like Charles Barkley had the way he did his dunks. I mean, you knew it. Signatures. These guys, everybody's a clone, man.
That's exactly right. Well, folks, I think we could have gone through a lot more teams. We could have gone way more in depth than we have with the past 40 minutes. But we wanted to go through the main teams that everyone's familiar with that Jordan had to face and beat, all of them. These teams that Jordan faced would kill any team today. It's just a fact. And so I hope people were educated on this. And again, you just heard from a guy who's one of my good friends, number one. I've known him for a long time. And he's seen this stuff in person. A lot of these guys have never seen Jordan in person, and they have the audacity to say that, LeBron could beat him. All right, listen, you were a sperm cell when when Jordan won most of his championships. Okay, so you just heard a guy who witnessed it tell you like it is. And I just want to say one last thing before we end this video. If you like LeBron, that's fine. LeBron is one of the best players of this generation. I think Andell and I can both agree on that. He's definitely one of the best players of this generation. And if you like LeBron, more power to you. We're not here to change your opinion on LeBron if you like the guy personally. We're here to talk about the facts. That's it. No emotion whatsoever. We don't want you to put emotion into this equation and say, well, why don't you like LeBron? He does so much for the community. No, take all that stuff out of it. We're just talking about the facts of what Jordan did in his career versus the competition that LeBron faced. Okay, so with that being said, Andell, what you got any closing words?
Well, it's a lot going on with the league. I just, I still watch, and I'm a hooper. I'm a baller, so I always love to watch. But it is getting to that point where it's like it's tough to watch. You know what I mean? The calls are terrible, and the guys who got the skills, they got letting them play. They got to shoot threes too instead of dominating. But other than that, I think that the debate to me still stands. MJ is the best, and it's because he dominates. He dominates the team. He dominates these other teams. Puts fear into them. There's no fear coming from some of these other guys nowadays. Everybody's buddies. So until they figure that out, I don't know. Things ain't looking too great, but we'll see.
Yeah, we definitely will see. I'm curious on what will happen in the future, if any of this stuff will change. Hopefully it'll change for the better. But with that being said, folks, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you all enjoy the Super Bowl, and we'll see you later.